Hello. So today we are focusing on the fourth unit, that is role of media from your NCERT class 7th book. And here we have to discuss what actually media and mass media is. We'll understand their definition and what it intends to do, what are its various functions, and how it is currently performing. There are certain lacunas on the part of media. So what needs to be done to address those lacunas? And beyond the text that is there in your book, we'll see certain other things. So let us proceed with this today's chapter. Here we are, the role of media, unit 4, and there's this lovely explanation given here. Let us read this together. Everything ranging from the stall at the local fair to the program that you see on TV can be called media. Media is the plural form of the word medium, and it describes the various ways through which we communicate in society. Because media refers to all means of communication, everything ranging from a phone call to the evening news on TV can be called media. TV, radio, and newspapers are a form of media that reaches millions of people or the masses across the country and the world, and thus they are called mass media. So we see that any means of communication is media. So when it reaches masses, when it reaches a large number, then it becomes mass media. And how does it reaches mass to the masses? When technology is applied. That is what we see here: media and technology. It is only through technology that you can reach a vast number of people. Like I'm reaching out to you. This is because of technology. The distance is far. I'm not physically present where you are, but then because of technology I can convey to you. And this is how media also conveys many things to people living in other part of planet, where the suppose any news that we come across from USA, we are not going there. It is because of media, through technology, that we are able to access those information. So newspaper, television, and radio can reach millions of people because they are use certain technology. And newspaper is called print media because it goes into print, and there is a big machine that prints the news. And then TV and radio are essentially referred to as electronic media. So changing technology or machines and making technology more modern helps media to reach more people. It also improves the quality of sound and the images that you see. The various technical aspects, these are very basic things that are given here. How this electronic typewriters, these are 1940s era. And now it comes to media and money. See, earlier there was just this state sponsored Doordarshan. Today also it's functioning. In fact, it is attracting large viewership thanks to Ramayana and Mahabharat that was retelecasted recently. So what happened was, before 1990s, before this new economic policies were announced, this you shall study in detail in your paper 3 economy. Before privatization happened, before liberalization happened, there were not much private TVs. In fact, hardly, rarely one or two of them. So post liberalization, post India opened up its economy, huge number of private channels came. So now the discourse, whatever media tries, is to set the narrative. See, actually, it's given, everything is given here. We shall see them from the text also, that mass media is constantly thinking of ways to make money. Nothing wrong in that. And one way in which the mass media earns money is by advertising different things like cars, chocolates. So whenever you are seeing a program, suppose you are watching a cricket match, every after 1 over you see so many ads. There's a 2 minute gap when an over ends in a cricket. And this is one of the reasons for success of cricket in India, because it has been commercialized like no other sports, because only cricket offers this option of airing a commercial after every 1 over, after every 2 minutes. So that is what happens in media also. You see breaks happening between news hour debates, uh, several programs, several talk shows, and you see breaks happening. So commercials are being aired. Why commercials are being aired? Because the owner of these commercials, these products and services that are we see as advertisement, they know that people are stuck to this news, people are watching this news, so why not make some commercial benefit out of it? So wherever the revenue goes, wherever the viewership goes, there goes the this products and services, there goes the advertisement. And this is how media also makes money. You see, you pick up any newspaper and you see a classified ad, 4 to 5 pages of classified ads coming into that newspaper. You pick up the favorite newspaper of civil services aspirants, you see 1 to 2 page advertisement of various coachings that help students prepare for civil services, okay, in the newspaper The Hindu. So because The Hindu also knows that civil services aspirant read this newspaper, you pick up Times of India, you see products ranging from shoes to whatnot, because it has the largest viewership. And so here comes the advertisement with viewership, with numbers. So mass media is constantly thinking of ways to make money, and one way in which mass media earns money is by advertising different things like cars, chocolates, clothes, mobile, whatever be the product or service. And you see, this is a typical news office. This is IBN 7, or no, that's being flashed here. Maybe some news channel here in Delhi or NCR. So what role media has in democracy? Media is rightly called the fourth pillar of democracy. First three being legislature, judiciary, and executive. So in a democracy, media plays a very important role in providing news and discussing events taking place in the country and the world. On the basis of this very information, the citizens can, for example, learn how government works. And often, if they wish to, they can take action on the basis of these news stories. So this is what ideally should happen. See, the role of media is to report, okay, report the obvious, report the way things have happened. But now mostly what happens is media is not reporting, media is telling its view. Okay, they are not reporting facts, they are telling their own views. You see more analysis than facts on every news channel. Either they are pro government or anti government. They should be neither. They should just present the view and let us form the opinion. But that is not happening. So this role that they had, that on the basis of this information citizen can learn how government works. Now this happens when media has credibility left. Now there is not much credibility left with mainstream media in India or anywhere in the world. You see a presser of American President Donald Trump. He does a press conference every week and he insults journalists to the core, calling them fake CNN, fake Fox News, so on and so forth, that I have done this, but you have said that. So this is what has happened. As I told you, opinions have taken over facts. But ideally what it should be, this is what this book tells us. So some of the ways in which they can do this is by writing letters to the concerned minister, organizing a public protest. So these are the old school of media, which focuses on things the way, the reason for which media existed. And here there is given the emergency instance is given in this chapter itself. We shall discuss that also. So media must have a balanced media report. What do you mean by a balanced media report? See, uh, very good example given in your book. Crackdown on polluting factories, protesters block roads and disrupt traffic. This is from some India Report INN. Closure of factories cause unrest. Daily News Service. Same incidents. There has been a closure and some people have agitated. Now protesters block road and disrupt traffic, crackdown on polluting factories, closure of, see how they intend to build the narrative. This is what I was referring to. This is what makes media lose their credibility. Whether closure of factories cause unrest or whether it was a crackdown on polluting factories or protesters blocked roads to disrupt traffic, is it there can be huge subjectivity in it. Ideally what it should do, it should prove the reason why the closure happened, whether there was a this there was a crackdown because these factories were cautioned by the government. So these things are missing. See the catchy headlines. So same incidents described differently by two different media outlets depending on their vested interests. So this is what is discusses, that the balance report is one that discusses all point of view of a particular story and then leaves it to the reader to make up their minds. As I told you that this is how it should be, but then rarely it is happening. And independent media means that no one should control and influence its coverage of news. No one should tell the media what can be included and what should not be included in a news story. And if that happens, if government intends to silence the media, then when the government prevents either a news item or scene from a movie or the lyrics of a song from being shared with the large public, this is referred as censorship. So this happens in movies. It should happen because at times movies in the name of artistic creativity can show you anything. There is a lot of vulgarity, there is a lot of things that can disturb the social order. So there is a censor board which watches that movie and recommends it, categorizes. Maybe it's an adult movie, maybe it's too much of nudity or violence into it. So people who are less than 18 years of age should not watch it. This is what censor board does. Or censor board can ask, please remove these scenes. This is too violent, or this contains too much of nudity. So please remove these scenes. But when it comes to media, and if government starts telling that do not air this news, do not talk about this, then media censorship is not good for democracy. And it happened during 1975 to 77. Mrs. Indira Gandhi declared emergency. Mr. I.K. Gujral was the information and broadcasting minister. Now he resigned. This you will study in your paper one, post-independent consolidation, when you will talk about, you will study about emergency, because Mr. Sanjay Gandhi, the son of Indira Gandhi, told the minister, Mr. I.K. Gujral, that I want to see everything that goes on air on Doordarshan. So Mr. Gujral said that you are not a minister, and I, being a minister, cannot do that. How can you do that? So Mr. Gujral had to resign. And later on, Mr. Gujral became the Prime Minister of India. You will study famous Gujral doctrine in international relations. So see, and what happened was, as Mr. Gandhi and Mrs. Gandhi made sure that whatever goes on goes in the editorials, they will first approve it. So media becomes the, you know, the lapdog of the government. There was one newspaper who stood against it. It was the Indian Express, which was managed by Mr. Ramnath Goenka. Now, what Mr. Goenka did, he said that I will leave the editorial space blank. You want me to show you what I want to write? This is what I'm writing. It's a blank piece. So Goenka was very much praised for his courage during emergency. The only newspaper of that time, that was Indian Express under Goenka in 75 to 77. So that was the worst form of censorship during emergency, which country saw, and media was actually blacked out. Media was sanitized. So government does continue to censor films. It does not really censor the media's coverage of news. Despite the absence of censorship by the government, most newspapers nowadays still fail to provide a balanced story. The reason for this are complicated. Persons who research the media have said that this happens because business houses control the media. At times, it is the interest of this business to focus on only one side of the story. As I told you, because of the vested interest, it happens. Whatever suits their agenda, they are talking about that, they are praising that, and whatever does not suit their agenda, they are criticizing it, irrespective of the merit of the argument. So, setting agendas. Now, when you will study political science as your optional, you will come across a famous chapter, a concept called narrative or discourse. Now, what is this narrative or discourse, Let us very briefly try to understand it. Like what we are talking about, what is the mood of the country? You are talking about it, you are reacting to it. This is what is called narrative or discourse. So media used to shape the discourse. Media used to shape the narrative, what the country will discuss. Like today, suppose budget is being announced. Okay, so budget becomes the discourse. Prime Minister Modi ji announces a package, a 20 lakh crore package. So that becomes the discourse. The economic package becomes the Atmanirbhar Bharat, the self-sufficient Bharat becomes the discourse. You see arguments and debates happening on it for quite a 1 week or two. So this is what the discourse is. So media rightly is in a position to shape the discourse. What me and you will talk about, what we will discuss on, depends on media, what news it will share and air on their channels and their newspapers. So media drew our attention to alarming level of pesticide in cola and pollution things. So we are talking about these things because we read these things. The PM level has particulate matter has reached this much. The air quality has decreased. You know, there is so much of pollution in the rivers of North India. Now it has gone post lockdown, but the water of Ganga and Yamuna was very, very unclean. So we are talking about these things because we are reading about these things. We are hearing about these things from media. And again, there is this example given in this chapter that when your school, as you all know, this is a class 7th book. So the school's annual function might not be covered by media. No school functions are covered by media. But when a famous movie star turns up there as a chief guest, then that function will be covered by media. So again, you see the celebrity along with him brings up so much of advertisement, because he endorses a particular product, they all want to be there, so the media also wants to be there. So again, what people want to watch directly shapes our narrative. So a citizen of a democracy, the media has a very important role to play in our lives, because it is through the media that we hear about issues related to the working of the government. The media decides what to focus on, and in what this way it sets the agenda, it decides the narrative, it sets the discourse. Government can at times prevent the media from publishing story, and this is called censorship. Ideally it should not happen unless it's something against the this law, like you cannot publish every intelligence report, some covert military operations. There is something called official secret act. If anyone gets access to any such story which government is not willing to release at the moment, then that can be punished. So these are the various things that is given in this chapter. And one more thing I would like to add on, which is not here because it discusses only media. Social advertisement is given here, refers to advertisement made by the government on private agencies that have a large message for society. So like you see here, this small thing, this is what I wanted to discuss here. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Insta, Telegram. Now, the social media has actually challenged mainstream media. Social media has challenged electronic and print media. All these journalists are forced to come on social media. They all have their Twitter handles and they have their Facebook accounts. What happens is public questions them that this is what you said, but we found it to be false. So why are you engaging in propaganda? So now at times social media decides the narrative. There are Twitter trends, there are hashtags, and then instead of media deciding the discourse, it is the social media which is deciding the discourse. So the mainstream media is forced to fall in line. So social media has largely checked the functioning of mainstream media, although there is no accountability of social media. At times fake news comes through social media as well, but then it has given us, people like you and me, we cannot every day write columns in newspaper, we cannot come on news debates, but we all can have our social media account and air our views. So it has actually deepened the democracy in this respect. So this is what we had to discuss today. I hope you understand this, and we shall meet in our next class very soon. Thank you, all of you.